Hey folks, and welcome to the Daily Ratings Podcast. It's a show where each week we're going to be sitting down with Vincent Daly to get his thoughts on the latest movies he's been watching, both older films and new releases. And don't worry, there's no spoilers. Vince will give a brief review of the movie, share some thoughts, and of course, then rate the film. The daily ratings are always fair, honest, and most importantly, they're consistent. On today's show, Vince will be rating and reviewing. We are stepping back to 1935 with Alfred Hitchcock's The 39 Steps. We're then covering newly released Friendship from A24, director Andrew DeYoung. And Tom Cruise is here. We'll see you at the movies with Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, directed by Christopher McQuarrie. So let's get Vincent Daly in here, see what he has to say about these films. Stay tuned and enjoy the show. Mr. Vincent Daly, how are we doing over there, my friend?
Thomas, happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day to you.
Yeah, big weekend. Big weekend.
It was history-breaking weekend over at the box office.
Yeah, crazy.
It was great to see.
I think we've experienced that firsthand with our parking. I mean, like,
I'll tell you
there was
what.
no place to park.
Trying to think when I saw that theater that packed like that, and I don't know if I can remember. I would probably say 10 years ago for The Force Awakens or something.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
Because since then, I mean, I don't think I wasn't around for the Avengers movies. Let's say I wasn't in participation, but yeah, it was a packed. I love seeing a packed theater.
Yeah.
I don't love seeing what the bathrooms look like when you have a packed theater,
Or those trash cans.
or the trash cans,
Really bad.
or the missing the gummy nerd clusters. That's why I got the sweet tart ropes because they were out of
Which
the nerd.
saved me. Saved me. Folks, we are in the first hour of Mission Impossible.
You wanted the 9:15.
You
wanted the 9:15.
I know. I did want the 9:15. I didn't know how detrimental to my sleep schedule this was going to be. But let me tell you, the first hour, I was struggling. It wasn't like a fall asleep struggling. It was just that, like, my brain was just turning off, and
Yes.
I needed something. And Tom,
The
like
moment
an angel.
I showed you, I mean, it might as well have been $100 bill. How fast you scooped that out of my hands.
Dog ears up.
And I just said, finish it. Because I took about half, and then I was good. I never, by the way, the most I ever ate at a movie. I've been to movie taverns and ordered food. I never ate. We came from dinner. I don't know what got into me, but we came from dinner.
A nice dinner, too.
And then I continued to eat a lot at the movie theater. But I was enjoying my second.
Right.
It was my second time seeing Mission Impossible: The Final
Right.
Reckoning. So I was there. I just totally enjoyed myself.
You had the bandwidth. You could get out of your seat. You knew what was coming around the bend.
Absolutely.
You knew when they were reminding you of the movie that you're watching currently.
I was very pleased with myself because we went to dinner, and first off the bat, you said, "What did you think of it? How did you like it?" And I was like, "I'm not going to tell you," but I peppered in through our conversation over the next 2 hours. I was able to pepper in my thoughts on the film.
Yep, absolutely. I even created some maybe some false truths. I thought this was going in one way, and it kept me guessing. Honestly, it was good.
That's what I'm good at. Me and Tom will keep you guessing with those films. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
So, and then we're finishing up Alfred Hitchcock for the year.
Yes.
Right, with 39 Steps. The 39 Steps.
Yep.
That's right. It's The 39 Steps and The Final Reckoning.
Nice. But not The Big Night.
No.
It's just Big Night. But yeah, Hitchcock month, I feel like maybe besides Rebecca, kind of a come and go this year. But like I'll talk about in a moment, I think we're in really, really good striking distance for wrapping up one more year of Hitchcock movies and really packing the next one in with just, the heavy hitters.
Heavy hitters.
So.
Not that we haven't had them yet. I mean, we covered The Birds, the other one. I'm blanking on all the names for some reason. Vertigo. We covered Vertigo last year. I mean, these are some of the big biggies, All right, but any opening notes for you?
Well, I guess the only thing missing here, folks, is obviously Lilo and Stitch.
That's right. Our little buddy.
Top of the box office.
Stitch Impossible did it this weekend. How about it?
It did. Actually, it really did.
Pretty pleased.
I mean, maybe not like a Barbenheimer, but like definitely families are going and they're either seeing a big action movie blockbuster or something safe for the family.
Yeah,
so.
They went to see that in droves.
Yeah. I guess I don't know.
We don't need it. We don't need it.
We didn't need it.
In retrospect.
In retrospect, maybe we did need it.
We don't go for the clicks, Vin. We don't go for clicks. We go for what we're feeling, what we actually want to do.
39 Steps isn't bringing in the big views. Let's just say that. I guess my only thing with Lilo and Stitch is that we kind of just covered a lot of my thoughts on just like Disney live action remakes in general with Snow White. So I in addition to just like not having time to get to the theater once again for Lilo and Stitch this week, I feel like I've really kind of shared my overarching thoughts on these live action remakes really recently. So
well, also listen, when a Snow White comes around, I think it might be important to cover because it's Snow White and like a crazy like legacy property of Disney.
Sure,
Lilo and Stitch, it's just it's not our thing. It wasn't. We kind of missed the whole Lilo and Stitch thing. We were already too old.
Yeah, true. It's true. I like the sci-fi, but all of that is,
of course,
like the aliens. But apparently, all of that is like really toned down in the movie.
You get a lot of the girl.
Lilo. Its focus is more so let's film this classic property in Hawaii, on Hawaii. Actually on the islands.
Mm-hmm. I'm fine with that. It exists.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem. But definitely, it would just be another puddle score.
How do you feel that it broke the record and took it from Top Gun Maverick?
Cruise, I don't think he could eat popcorn fast enough, shovel it into his mouth fast enough to deal with that heartbreak. But
I know.
I'm sure he was looking to break his own record there.
What do you mean?
Beat out Top Gun Maverick with the Final Reckoning.
No one was expecting that.
Oh, really?
No,
Okay.
But still, even so, Final Reckoning still beat Mission Impossible out. Mm-hmm. Like it beat Fallout out. It's the best of the 8 films. He's very happy. Trust me, he's very happy. Okay, all right. So with that, want to just go to Alfie?
Sure.
Okay, 1935. He's in England now, right? Mm-hmm. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still within his like original run. So
what year was his first movie?
Very first movie. I know Lodger is not the first movie. Wasn't that 27?
Oh shit! Okay, all right. Wow.
We did Lodger first year.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what is technically the first.
Right. I just forget that he goes back that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's crazy.
And then becomes like a popcorn guy in the 50s almost.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Absolutely.
All right, so The 39 Steps, Alfred Hitchcock. Tell us about the film and tell us how'd you like it.
Well, like I said in the beginning of the podcast here, I did some work and lined up our remaining Hitchcock movies for the study, and it's really looking to be within striking distance to complete. Next year, we'll be finishing out this study with 4 of Al's most iconic films, and hopefully able to kind of edit together a special of all his top movies that we've covered into something that we can kind of keep in the holster.
Yeah.
There are a few stragglers, though, especially from the early days, and I'm sure even with my research, I'm maybe missing, a little gem here and there. But The 39 Steps is one I did not want to leave in the dust, as one of the most acclaimed movies in Hitchcock's catalog from fellow directors. Orson Welles speaks very highly of this movie. Other fellow peer directors of Hitchcock at the time, loved this movie and still kind of stands in the mumblings of the internet around Hitchcock's work as one you can't skip, an important, stepping stone for his career.
I'm embarrassed I didn't really know it that much, honestly.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Prior to the research, 39 Steps, it sounds like it's going to lead into a further title or something. Yeah. Jumping back to 1935, though, 1 year earlier, we see Hitchcock release one of his earliest iconic projects with The Man Who Knew Too Much. Still one of my favorite movie posters from his catalog. I mean,
Such a silly poster.
Oh, I love
it. Is that Orson Welles on the front?
No. That's I forget the guy's, the actor, but it's the one where he has he's in green.
Oh, I remember it. Yeah, I know. It looks ridiculous.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a weird poster. 1 year later, he releases The 39 Steps, with both films being twisting spy thrillers that stand out to me because of how they kind of stand apart what we would know as the modern spy story structure. unintentionally, talk about a great pick for Mission Impossible this week. I watched this just because I needed it off the list, but like, I'm glad I was able to pair something spy-related to Mission Impossible. Robert Donnet plays a man traveling through London that is pulled into chaos when shots ring out at a show he's attending. He runs into the mysterious Miss Smith, who quickly reveals she is counterintelligence for hire and being tailed by the opposition. Robert wakes up to her murdered in his own home and adopts her latest mission, if only to escape the assassins he knows will be coming after him next. Soon he finds himself framed and having to adapt what he thinks a spy should do. Using only his intuition, he must get to the bottom of who or what the 39 steps are before all of the evidence pointing to the culprits gets swept away. I have to say, while Hitchcock is known for his impact on horror and suspense, within that, and within a lot of these murder stories, more often than not, I'm finding that they're actually just spy plot lines underneath. There's some sort of like governmental or gun-for-hire kind of mercenary aspect to it that these spy plot lines really come about. Particularly, I'm interested in these for their time frame, either during or before World War II, which is kind of refreshing. You know, I was watching this movie and thinking about a lot of just different spy movies, anticipation of Mission Impossible and whatnot. And it really just, I feel like it boils down to Cold War, James Bond style spy stories. Or your modern conspiracy thriller, which could be probably anything from, the Bourne trilogy.
21st century stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like it's either Nazis, Soviets, or whatever it is today.
Right.
Which is like a blend of those two. Yeah, exactly right. The entity.
But that's why I'm kind of interested in these, because these like pre or during World War II spy stories, they're really interesting. Just surprises me even how this film talks. Like, characters will talk about spy tropes as if they were already been around for as long as like we've known them, you know what I mean? Like, they talk about like paperback spy schlock, and it's just like, oh, what? Like, it's crazy.
It still almost has a modern feel to it.
Yeah. But with Hitchcock working over such a long and developmental time in movies, you can really see how his genres evolve with the audience's taste as well. And most of these spy movies coming out earlier towards his career is evidence of that, where later in his career, he obviously switches to the horror suspense type of, that we know him for. This has some serious chops, though, when it comes to spy thriller mystery theming. I really mean that. Like, this has something a little bit magical to it. I was watching this and saying, boy, does this just absolutely take a dump on The Amateur that came out a few months ago. And similar kind of thing, like not a spy thrown into being a spy. He has to think on his feet kind of shit, Man, like, this was embarrassing for Rami Malek in The Amateur watching this. That comparison, though, it really is closer than you think. The scenes of him thinking on his feet were just excellent in this. It's driven by a very simple stakes of the police being on his tail, the counter spies being on his tail. There's a kind of a pressure cooker, a vice grip put on this one character that keeps the stakes real.
It's snappy, too. It's an hour and a half.
Exactly.
Which has to really help.
Oh, yeah. I really think like this was all killer, no filler. And we're just constantly given little scenes that show this. They show this thinking on his feet, whether it's him changing his clothes to lose a tail, or making sure he doesn't kind of cross the wires or overlap cover-up names that depending on who he's talking to. These aren't really like built up in a way. He's just kind of naturally coming across these things. And again, as far as like, the practical spy tricks, this felt like Mission Impossible. It felt
That's
like
very cool.
Yeah,
it's very cool. I'm highly interested. I should have watched this.
Yeah, this has like some serious foundational DNA to it, to the genre.
It's 90 years old.
yeah, for real. But all of these kind of come about organically in the plot, and I would say feel great because they feel earned. This is not something where it's just like someone shows him the importance of maybe not overlapping your cover-up names or something like that. All of this comes from just intuition of what the character expects a spy to do, and has an interesting play into the plot for that reason. I think also part of why this moves so much is that tight runtime. Something that our buddy Tom Cruise could have learned a little bit from this week and be a little bit tighter on that runtime.
Could have watched this twice and still be within.
yeah, it's still within final reckoning. I struggle slightly with what to include in the summary because, man, this develops so much. There's also, that hour and 30, kind of hard to determine what is like the tipping point of just like, all right, now this isn't the spoilers. But I would say even when maybe some predictable things like the romance comes around, it doesn't play out how you think it will. And it was just always creating an interesting challenge in either staying undercover, amping up the stakes of who's chasing this guy, and rather than just have something be predictable, it really was like true to a thriller mystery, which was great. I thought those were really solid, though, and worth time checking out despite its age. I mean, like you said, 90-plus years.
90 years, yeah, 90 years.
It's crazy. Even with this being one of the earliest movies we've covered from Hitchcock, this is really just a great example to show how he is always playing with audience expectations in some way. And really, how he established the trends we still see today. Folks, that's how a title like Master of Suspense was earned for him far before we knew the man as anything horror-related, and I think for that reason alone was an important piece to cover for this study. We're going to go ahead and give the 39 Steps 1935 a 73.
Okay, 73%.
Real solid.
Pretty good for Alfie.
Real solid.
Yeah, that's cool. I think I should probably watch this one.
I think so. I believe it's on Max. I pulled the classic. We both run into it now. The classic idiot move of renting it
before we realize it is on Max.
Yep,
and if anybody else wants to check it out, I think it's on Criterion as well.
Yep.
So as far as being 90 years old, 1935, how did the film itself look?
Way better than something that we covered with The Lodger, where it's just like, oh man, this really
it's
looks
just an
like
old movie. Yeah, it's an old looking film.
I would say even north of like Dial M for Murder, where that still had like a small scale stage element to it. That's later on in years. There was something to this here though.
That's explored a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then as far as any standout cast like Robert Donnet, Madeline Carroll, anyone that blew you away, said, "Oh, I would be excited to see their name if a movie pops up."
Maybe Robert Donnet, but I don't think he goes on to do much.
He died young.
Yes, he dies like pre-60s, I think.
Yeah, he dies in 58.
Yeah. So I maybe would be excited just because he was such the central focus. It was really like his story. This man is like he needs to get out of some hot water. So
excellent. Okay, Alfred Hitchcock. We're ending you this year with the 73%, which I think is pretty positive.
Yes, especially after the birds.
Yeah, It's interesting. I'm glad we're doing.
Each year I get one punching bag from them. And
well, that's it. Yeah. Well, let's be honest. It's only our second year, so technically, yeah.
yeah. True.
Okay, so let's jump ahead to. So Friendship, technically, I think it has a technical release date, a release year of 2024.
Oh, really?
But I think it did the circuits at in some of the film festivals, and now has a proper U.S. release now, brand new. It was 7th at the box office for the weekend. That's not getting a huge audience, but it's also a pretty cheap film. It's an A24 comedy, is what it's billed as.
Yes.
Let's actually see what Friendship is all about. It's directed by Andrew DeYoung. Get in the Friendship, brand new film.
Yeah. Well, a doozy for sure. Tim Robinson might be a fairly new face in comedy, but is really no stranger in the writing room of a lot of projects. He's spent a good 7 years writing in SNL. Moved on to his own show called Detroiters. I've never really checked it out, but arguably his largest viral hit is with Netflix's I Think You Should Leave, which has kind of surged.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, so many clips. Almost it might be setting the bar a little high for it because I haven't watched all of I Think You Should Leave, but hits like a Chappelle Show magic where the sketches live on their own and now are only fueled by the internet going around.
Okay. So he's actually pretty popular. I didn't realize he had that big of a name to him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And our director is just a straight TV guy.
Yeah.
This is kind of his first
sporadic
movie.
TV as well. I would put Tim Robinson right alongside the kind of wave of new, ironic, anti-humor stars. A good example is also Nathan Fielder. While Tim is a bit more, I don't know, probably a good bit more silly and goofier, they're all kind of still in that same realm of comedy that wants your skin to crawl right before you laugh. Understandably, that's not going to be everyone's bag. And for better or worse, I think this movie is a flawless demonstration of that hit or total miss nature of these jokes.
Okay.
It really is something else. On the positive side, this whole thing felt like A24 meets a late-era Tim and Eric sketch, especially with Paul Rudd in the mix. As the first semi-big movie for Robinson, I'm just glad he was able to do something fresh and not just resort to 2000s mainstream buddy comedy. I bring this up because a lot of people online were upset that this wasn't something like that. This movie is kind of getting dragged online because I guess there was an expectation that it was going to be like a dinner for schmucks, I love you, man.
That's what fans...
a Judd Apatow
did they
kind of...
fail to recognize it was A24?
or Robinson?
I could have told them that. Come on now.
But that is like the sentiment of hating this movie online because...
well, that's when I knew, as soon as I saw that it was billed as strictly comedy. Almost everywhere I look, it just says comedy.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's something else here.
Right.
There's something else to this story. Come on.
Right. There is something, and there also isn't something. But there's a lot of mix of opinions on this film online, and kind of rightfully so as well. This was a kind of a hard to pin down. I personally thought the best case scenario for a comedian like Robinson was actually just translating the style of I Think You Should Leave or anything he's been successful at to the big screen, but for better or worse.
Sure.
There's a mix here.
You might be too... I mean, he didn't write it.
True.
The director.
It is Robinson, though.
Okay.
I mean, his comedy style. I mean, I wouldn't even consider myself a huge fan. I'm not really a hater of that. I just don't get around to watching that type of stuff. And man, I mean, it's just he's
got
the
his
star.
paws on it. Okay.
Yeah, he's the star. Friendship is the painfully awkward comedy that targets the so-called male loneliness epidemic through the eyes of a weirdo that has no friends and probably doesn't deserve to have any friends. Tim Robinson plays Craig, a stabled married father with all the right cards in play for a fulfilling life, except one, if not the most important piece, a best friend he can relate to. His suburban world is rocked when he meets his neighbor, Austin, played by Paul Rudd, who just might be the coolest living being he's ever met. Austin is a TV weatherman, lays down the occasional philosophical chestnut, and most of all, a person everyone seems to want to be around, especially Craig. Downright head over heels for his new buddy, Craig's beguilement and delusions swirl in his mind as he begins to creepily act like Austin. Quickly, we find we have an obsessive ex of a friend going way too far with every move he makes, all because he just wanted some one-on-one male bonding. Folks, I was going to save this for my ending wrap-up, but talking about my theater experience is probably the best way to illustrate if this movie is going to work for you or not. This was a pretty packed theater, considering
Really?
the heavy hitters this weekend. Unexpected on that note.
Yeah.
Yeah,
with how much it made or didn't make.
Yeah.
I'm surprised any theater could be packed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
But I kid you not when I say exactly half my theater laughed the whole way through, and exactly half my theater did not laugh a single time. Did not laugh once.
Okay.
And,
where do you sit in that?
Observing.
Okay.
This is definitely a real big moment where I was just like, man, I'm happy to see
You were
this
the
in
poll
theater.
taker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was the auditor. I won't lie, the laughter at Robinson's shtick became so excessive at some point that it felt like the audience was almost laughing in anticipation of the joke, which... one was really annoying.
Yeah.
But most of all, probably just showed that these are big fans of the show, big fans of Robinson's shtick, coming to support this movie. But seriously, it was a flawless example of Robinson is either going to work for you or you're going to be questioning if this was a comedy at all. And this, really, that experience just was the perfect capsule for what this movie is. Because a lot of the times you're watching this and it's like you'll chuckle at Tim's average guy-ness to him. That's kind of the shtick. There's sometimes that I really questioned, was this trying to be a joke or was this trying to be... I don't know, something A24, something maybe a little bit more messed up in some way. And it's really hard to determine that when you're watching the movie. My take is that This movie had a great initial concept and a lot of gas in the tank wherever the comedy could go in that first hour. But after a while, it just tries to cram in as many scenes of Robinson doing his like signature freak out voice just again and again and again. I think everything around this like average dude swagger is pretty funny. And you know, the best without a doubt is just how seriously weird his relationship with his wife is in this. His wife is played by Kate Mara.
Yep.
And it's just like the most weird thing. Like the son kisses her on the mouth. You don't know. It's not really like directly addressed if she's like cheating on him and like how the degrees of that cheating. It's just like so.
It's an awkward. Yes, it's an awkward comedy. It's an awkward comedy.
Yeah.
Is this like the one with what's his face who won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor?
Kieran Culkin.
Yeah, Kieran Culkin.
No, Real Pain was so much better than this.
Well, I'm sure it sounds like it.
Yeah.
But Culkin is known to have the awkward humor.
Yeah.
Like, make your skin crawl a little bit. Uncomfortable humor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely put him somewhere in that realm as well. Mm-hmm. I just think Robinson is trying to be sillier and goofier on compared to all these people, kind of, you know, all these comedians living in this space of like, I don't know. I never really understood the term anti-humor, but that's what largely it's called.
Okay.
Is anti-humor.
I can pick up on what that is.
Yeah. Honestly, the moment I saw him push this comedic style further is something I'll simply call the soap scene. Well, it might be less than halfway through the movie. This joke is the climax of just unbelievable awkwardness, unbelievable agony as you're watching this on screen. And it is funny outright. The reason why I would say this is where he pushes the envelope, though, is that it honestly felt like something closer to a Tom Green from back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Where, I mean, it really made me want to jump out of my skin before I laughed.
Yeah.
It was really something else. And all I'll say is that if we get more movie projects with Tim, I just hope he's able to push the envelope even further like he did with this scene, because I feel like that scene was almost worth watching regardless of if you're about the shtick or not, you know, if it's working for you or not. After that, though, I felt this just didn't have any big surprises, especially in its last act. I was just more so growing annoyed to furious with the one or two people in the theater at this point of just like almost like howling, but also laughing before the joke hit. Mm-hmm. Laughing in anticipation of the joke. It was just like, all right, come on. Like, Jesus.
That does get annoying.
Yeah. You know, some small notes are, I would say the music has like a odd synthwave touch, kind of interesting. Paul Rudd.
That's his name now.
That's his
That was Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd was pretty solid, but I just wish he got a little bit more weirder with it, like I know he can. Believe it or not, though, comedian Connor O'Malley might steal the whole show with 2 quick scenes he has. Really interesting inclusion. I wonder if that's going to maybe open some doors for him. But, folks, I'd love to recommend this movie more, even with how polarizing Robinson's style can be, but only if it held up in the quality all the way through. For now, I think if you I think you should leave, or maybe have even seen one of the countless clips to go viral from that show and enjoyed it, give it a watch. We're going to go ahead and give Friendship a 58.
Okay, all right, 58%. I think you set that up pretty well. And honestly, it's not like this guy has... No, I don't know. I don't really know who this guy is.
Yeah.
I recognize his face on a poster that I saw on Netflix. You know what I mean? I don't think he has the weight of even what Seth Rogen did 20 years ago.
Sure.
So I think
the landscape of comedy has changed so drastically that it's not like...
Well, I think no one knows.
Every person that likes comedy is going to this because it's not all in one spot. You know, comedy I feel like is so stretched so
and
wide.
Confused. Let's be honest. Comedy's confused right now.
Sure.
I feel like for a while there was a 3, 4, 5 year period where people stayed away from it.
Yeah. I mean, this has definitely been a commentary on pretty much anyone that talks about movies, is that it's the death of the rom-com. We don't get those type of movies in theaters anymore.
Yes.
So I kind of want to say good on A24 for throwing this in the theaters, you know?
Oh, yeah.
For the people
that
they
belong in there. They belong in there. It's also A24, so of course it has to be weird and everything like that. I do think you're right where your theater, I bet that theater was packed because they're a fan of this guy.
Yes.
You know? So I think you set that up well, though. If you are one of those people, watch it.
Yeah.
If not, I don't think you're missing much.
Yeah, I don't think you're missing much. But also, like, I wanted to root for this a little bit more. There's some there's something to this in that middle section. I was like, oh wow, and then it just kind of just doesn't live up to it.
I hope and then I hope A24 also keeps doing comedies.
Yeah,
because at some point they're going to hit it.
Yeah,
and they won't be. Maybe they can pay their own way. They can be weird. It can be fun. Whatever.
Yeah.
But okay, Friendship with a 58%. We just want to take a second here to thank our producer for the episode, executive producer, our monthly donation coming in from Linda Schiller, always giving Vin a movie ticket every month. We thank you so much. As always, you are a great producer. Continue to produce, and we thank you coming in every month. And as always, Linda, if you want to write anything in, you want to get a note in, we'll always honor that any week if you have something you want to say. Folks, do you get anything out of the daily ratings? Do you want to support the show or wondering how we get supported? We're not going to deal with advertising. We're not going to deal with any payment tier structures or paywalls on our site. Of course, everything that Vin and I do is basically for free. Everything is out there. But if you do enjoy it, if you're finding anything valuable of what we're doing every week and with the website, with the podcast, then we ask you, can you send us some value back? It's a value for value model. So you go to thedailyratings.com, you head to the donations tab, and through your monetary support, through your donations, you show us what value you're getting. You're helping support the show, helping support the site. It helps us keep going. It means the world to us. It helps us out since, we do have monthly, we have yearly upkeep kind of as far as payments go. And that's kind of how we're doing it. When you do donate in, you become an actual legitimate producer of the Daily Ratings, because just like in Hollywood, when you financially support a project, you're a producer of the project. So that's how we're doing it here. We are producer supported. We are listener supported. So if you're having a good time with us, if you're stopping by once in a while or every week, could you help support us? And again, go to thedailyratings.com, head to the donations tab, and it could be at any donation. We do have some set figures there, but it can be as big or small. $5, $50, $500. There's a big value for value button there. You peg whatever number you want. Everyone's on their own finances. Everybody's got their own thing going on from week to week. So that's why we're doing it like this. So if you want to become a producer, if you want to donate in, if you want to support the show, head to thedailyratings.com. But okay, Vin, we got to do it. Welcome to the Tom Cruise show.
Oh, wow.
It is Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning.
Nice.
I don't know how I like the title, by the way, to be honest about it.
I like that that little ditty clip was...
Had to repurpose it. Used it 2 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
We have been around long enough now where we covered the last one on the podcast, which is cool. Mm-hmm. That was Dead Reckoning Part 1, now just officially known as Dead Reckoning. Mm-hmm. This is The Final Reckoning. It is the longest of all 8 films.
Yep.
It is the most expensive.
We've been getting close to that runtime, though. Even with Dead Reckoning.
They were going up. It went Fallout. Yeah, I know. It went Fallout, and then it went Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yep.
And now this one is the longest, which is crazy when you actually, because this was supposed to be Part 1 and Part 2.
Yep.
When you combine it, it's like almost a 6-hour project.
Yeah, that's crazy.
6-hour final film. But it's a franchise that spawned 30 years. And it's coming to a close. I saw it twice. I saw it once in the fake IMAX, one in Dolby, which is when we saw it.
I love that you always determine it's fake IMAX.
I have to say it because it wasn't real IMAX. But where do you want to start with this? Do you want to talk about your emotions going into it? Any opening notes for this film?
I want to take a break.
I can go. Listen, I can go in 1,000 different directions.
Yeah, for real.
I can go in 1,000 different directions.
For real. I think there's been a lot of talk of what Tom Cruise will do next after Mission Impossible, but I think I would want to shift that conversation just a tiny bit to our director, Christopher McQuarrie.
Yeah.
McQuarrie, I like his stuff. I really do. No doubt he'll continue to work with Cruise since, they go back to projects like Jack Reacher, Valkyrie.
He's writing Top Gun 3.
Oh, that's right.
So... I don't know. Again, he'll probably direct it. I doubt he's going to write it and then pass it on to Joseph Kosinski.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Who did Maverick.
Right.
So him and Tom are they're really, they're wedded. They are together.
Yeah. And I'm really just excited to see what McQuarrie has in store. Stepping out from being, I think, a core pillar of why this franchise has stuck around. I'll point to Mission Impossible Fallout exclusively as far as this is something that he not only was able to reinvigorate the franchise with, but really produce something that's worth seeing even if you haven't watched another Mission Impossible.
He came in after 3, correct? It was dead for a little while.
Yeah.
And
he's Rogue Nation. It's
right, with Mission Impossible 4.
No, I think Brad Bird's one is in between there.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
So it's Ghost Protocol, Brad Bird, Rogue Nation, Corey.
Corey steps in, and he's been there the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. As the looks of it now, it looks like he actually has another Tom Cruise action movie called The Gauntlet. And then the second movie he has in the pipeline is a World War II movie called Broadsword. So maybe we'll keep an eye on. All of those are pre-production, though, so who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
As a direct sequel to Dead Reckoning, originally labeled Part 1, like you said, Vincent Daly, ask, who really remembers what happened in Part 1 anyway?
I do.
Yeah.
I do remember.
It really seems like our movie's writing is on the same page with that, because the first hour of this not only repeats the stakes to you over a dozen times, it also serves as a recap for nearly the whole damn series. This was a hard movie to review because somewhere in the middle we get some of the greatest action scenes Cruise and team have ever put together. But sadly, sandwiched in there is a beginning and an end that I borderline hated in this movie, and couldn't shake the feeling that there is a tight single movie somewhere in an edit that could just do wonders for both of these entries. And I mean,
combine
going back
them both.
to some of my criticisms of all the nonsense MacGuffins in Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah.
I feel like a still 3-hour movie, maybe even 3:30, but there is a tight single movie that exists between these two movies. I just can't shake that. I can't shake that there's just so much fat to trim in both of these. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is the tear-filled farewell to the franchise that might not have all the espionage antics that Ethan Hunt is usually up to, but certainly wants to tie up any possible loose wires that would hold it back from an explosive finish. Back once again is the cartoon AI boogeyman known as the Entity, now employing a paranoid doomsday cult that is frustratingly completely off-screen, yet affects the crank of tension in the plot constantly. Besides the little montage explaining this doomsday cult in the beginning, I really think this is one of the biggest holes of the movie that we just don't see, and we, more importantly, don't really feel directly this cult interacting with Ethan and the team at all.
Were we supposed? I don't think we were supposed to.
They're grabbing up all the nuclear arms. I mean, that's.
They're not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, the Entity is.
But they are the Entity. They are the arm of the Entity. This doomsday cult is the arm of the Entity. The Entity isn't.
Maybe we look at it. Maybe we look at it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't listen. Well, the cult has no power. The cult are just like super fans.
They're the ones locking down the centers for kind of getting all these arms. They're the ones that are moving the plot along.
Is that what I did not get that?
Yeah. I mean, I
didn't get that at all because it's the Entity hacking into things.
No, it's the cult going to the actual centers that these weapons are held, locking it down. That's why they click away on the.
Well, no, I understand
on the
that.
DEFCON
I didn't
screen.
think that had anything to do with people.
Oh, yeah.
And had everything to do just digitally and was the Entity.
No, it's all connected to these supporters that are further falling into the
apostles, right? Are these the apostles?
Yeah,
from previous films.
I don't think it's from previous films.
Well, the apostles were a thing in what's it called? I think are they called the Alkalites in this? The apostles were a thing in Fallout.
Oh, okay.
And I thought in the beginning of this film, boy, we're getting tied up now on.
Yeah, we
just,
really are. I mean, this is a great example of this movie. Well, in the time between Part 1 and 2, the Entity has been gobbling up the nuclear arms of the world, and now has every nation in a chokehold, not knowing what is real, fake, or fabricated to elicit a catastrophic response. Ethan has an ace up his sleeve, though, or I should say, key, or should I say 2 keys? It's still 2 keys. There's plenty of MacGuffins to still go around on this one, even though the key is in hand. We're hunting a hard drive with the original Entity on it, and then we're hunting a dead key or a virus that Luther creates. It's really just MacGuffin City still. Our usual team splits off on their own, with Ethan working the angle that no one else can. Not quite going rogue, but still playing by his own rules. Can this predictive algorithm guess what record Tom Cruise is going to break next? Well, I guess we'll see him at the movies to find out for ourselves. Let's talk Cruise right away, because I think that's where my praise lies for this. I think we get some really excellent stunts in the middle section of this film. The role Ethan Hunt plays in the story is bigger than ever. Full credit to you, Tom, for pointing it out. But we get, it's a finale when we see two scenes with him having just underwear on. Tom Cruise is really giving it up for the Cougars in the audience. Yeah, I really just can't speak more highly of these action scenes, though. The movie hits a great momentum in the second act when Ethan is doing his own thing, and we have just different teams to snap to kind of keep our energy up. Mm-hmm. What I'll call just the submarine sequence is, much more than just one single action sequence. It's kind of like all of Act 2 in this. And I think anyone that just watches this movie can agree that it hits the magic of the other dynamite entries of the series, like I would say Mission Impossible 3 or Fallout. I mean, this little second act is exactly what I wanted from this. And what I wish, honestly, was maybe the climax of Dead Reckoning Part 1. I feel like this sub
there you go.
was like, that would have been the momentum of Dead Reckoning Part 1, especially with how much they do to establish the key, the frozen sub, the frozen, sailors that float up.
I'm more annoyed with the runtime on the last movie than this one.
Oh, okay.
I actually don't have a problem with this runtime.
Really?
I just don't like what they do in the beginning of the film for the most part. You're dead on, though, where they could have put the sub as the climax.
Yeah.
It would have made Dead Reckoning so much better. Yeah.
So much better. Unlike other flashy sequences throughout the series, though, I thought the pacing of just how this second act was juggled, near flawless. While we might get flashier stunts for the finale in this very movie, the middle of the movie was good enough to make me want to watch it again, or at least watch those sequences again, because I feel like it just hits like a perfect rhythm.
That's why I did.
Yeah. Why would you like to explain the need for watching it again soon?
It wasn't even a need. I just, honestly, approaching the weekend, I felt like I really wanted to see it 2 times. Saw it the first time, and absolutely was like, yep, I'm down for another watch.
Right.
It's not that I don't have issues with the film. I have some pretty major issues with this movie, but it also has a couple sequences that I want to go sit in the theater again. I want to be like, okay, I want to see this in Dolby now.
Sure.
I want to see it at the movies. Because I almost break this movie up into 3 different parts. I don't mean the acts. What I mean is we have some of the best sequences that you're ever going to get.
Okay.
And then we also have typical mission stuff that is tolerable to relatively good.
Okay.
And then you have a heaping spoonful of dialogue given in a way that is so much exposition, almost insulting to the audience. And at either part, those are playing, those are taking center stage in this 3-hour-long film. So at times for me, it's almost like struggling to get a shoe. And at times, this film is like full-on 2 shoes, 2 laces.
Sure.
And getting out of it feeling perplexed, feeling just like, how do I feel about it? I'm annoyed at this, but I really love this.
Yep.
That's why I'm like, let's go see it again.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it the second time more watching it with you. Because I told you this in the parking lot. When it comes to Mission and me, I like them better after seeing them the first time.
Oh, I'm glad you brought this up, because you've been doing a lot of rewatching of the series.
Yeah, well, yes. And a lot of times, let me tell you, I didn't love Fallout all that much in theaters. I was annoyed with Fallout.
Okay.
But then I started just being like, Mission is something, and I have to get over the fact that it isn't something else.
Okay.
And when I kind of dropped that, and I could just soak in Mission because now I know what it is, I like everything so much more. And I did like Fallout in the beginning, where when I first watched it, had issues, and now I just love that film.
Sure, yeah.
Same thing with this one. After the second watch, I can just drop it's Mission. It's not supposed to be Bond. The dialogue is always weird, kind of awkward. It sucks.
Bad, yeah.
I do think it's rude. I do think I'm fine with McQuarrie's directing. I like his directing. I don't like his writing, almost ever.
Right.
I find it insulting. It's too much. Tom Cruise could be overacting in this because he's too serious, and it comes across as overacting. So I find, you know what I mean? I had issues with it, but it did have me leave. It's just like, let's go see it again. And I enjoyed myself a second time.
Sure. And for what it's worth, the theater experience, I think, is a good match for the excitement.
2 different experiences, by the way.
Oh, really?
Oh, our theater's going to be any different.
Oh, really? You think that's just like crowdedness, or
it could be? Well, that's true. We did not have as crowded a theater because it was a later showing.
Sure, yeah.
I also think we went on Friday, So maybe we had some more fans there, kind of
Yeah.
that first opening night, basically.
Hoping Tom Cruise shows up.
It was a loud ramble. My first theater,
Yeah.
laughed at every single joke. Truly loved it.
Okay.
Got a ovation at the end.
What joke? no,
They were
joking.
trust me. Even if they weren't there, they were laughing. But like an ovation at the end and everything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think this is a big finale for a lot of stuff, but I don't know. I don't fault fans being enthusiastic in that way, but I'm with you as far as like that is going to detract from your watch on the first time. Other notes on Tom Cruise.
I really like Tom Cruise now.
He's really teary-eyed.
I have an issue. I mean, I did kind of have a bit of an issue with this film.
Oh,
with
okay.
With him in this.
Oh, with him? Okay.
Take away the action stuff and just the rest of the movie, he's overdoing it. He is way too serious delivering his lines. And,
Okay.
and it's not like the stakes aren't high. We are talking about like negative world events happening here in this film. But the way he's doing it seems like overacting. And Tom Cruise is better when he just chills out a little bit.
Right.
And he can just be a normal person and not like just stop trying to act so serious because it's not coming off great.
Sure.
So I didn't love that. Now, that's partly him. That's partly just the writing from Macquarie. I hate the dialogue scenes in this. I'm not gonna lie. The exposition is heaping spoonfuls of it, and it's not great. And you started from the top. The stakes are given to us how many times?
Oh my God!
The plot is given to us how many times? What we have to do.
So ridiculous.
It's a little much.
Yeah.
Anything relating to action, for the most part, Tom's crushing it. I appreciate the effort, the craftsmanship of him creating the scenes with Macquarie.
Yeah.
Like overall, I was excited to go see Tom Cruise again at the movie, even the second time around.
I even commented on it. I feel like he's been unusually charming in this press tour, where that charm previously was just like, what is this, Scientology freak?
Right. And the word is he's out of it now.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's been the word for a while.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He's just not going to go and shit on, I think, what he was a part of for so long.
Sure.
I believe what the rumblings are.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think Cruise was a big highlight for me just because he just had, I mean, maybe this is the case for every Mission Impossible, but really just had like the best moments. There was not even like where sometimes that's shared a tiny bit.
You're so right, yeah.
He kept it all to himself, but that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing, and especially for a farewell that is so nostalgic of its own series.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a problem. I don't mean to nosedive, but I'm going to nosedive.
Yeah, get into the negatives. Absolutely.
Right, okay.
You have to.
Yeah. Like I said toward the start, folks, this Mission Impossible magic is sandwiched, in my opinion, between some pretty forgettable garbage. I kid you not, the first hour of this is montage and flashback city. And the editing is more than a nightmare as a result. The editing kind of really suffers the most of this type of focus on making sure you remember everything, making sure you're shown little flashbacks constantly. I really don't envy the post-production of slapping this thing together, especially off of, what we know to be some of the fluctuations in the production itself.
Oh, it's how the film is a nightmare. Yeah.
My joke was going to be, who needs to watch part one, until it went on to become, who needs to watch the whole series itself? Scene after scene is just people recalling Ethan's victories and stumbles directly to his face non-stop. Oh, you remember when you broke into this vault? Oh, you remember when your girlfriend died? Oh, you remember this? It's just like, all right, enough. I could understand if this was just done for Dead Reckoning Part 1. It really is done for the entirety of the 30 years of the series, especially for entries for 1, 3, and Fallout. Those are feel like the highlights to these flashbacks as well. We get
Agreed.
We get a location from 3. We get references. Just Fallout, it has a lot of changing elements to the story itself, and then just a real hard on for Mission Impossible 1, which was totally unexpected. My issue here is that all the writing, spelling everything out painfully clear for the audience, it just honestly feels like they're not trusting them to have any interest in this whole series. Most mind-blowingly, it is an entry where the writing has the least confidence in the audience to remember the very last movie. I really do think this does not have any confidence that you watched Dead Reckoning Part 1, and is willing to spell out every minor point of stakes again and again and again, really just for the whole runtime. The amount of times characters repeat the stakes in this movie is just ridiculous.
It's bad. It's bad.
It's just like, enough. I get it. Like, we talked about this in Dead Reckoning Part 1 with just like how many times they say the entity. That's a problem here as well.
Absolutely.
But it's also a problem here with like the fact that it feels like the writing doesn't trust you to understand like this is a world-ending thing.
Well, that's why I say insulting.
Yes.
It comes across as insulting.
Absolutely.
The funny thing is, Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie have so much respect for the audience that they will have some of the best action sequences in all of cinema history.
Sure.
And at the same time, they will have zero respect for you
Yeah.
and won't just like treat you like adults that you can keep up.
Absolutely.
It's very annoying.
It's unreal.
So I'm on the same page with you when it comes. It's nauseating.
Yeah.
The repeating is nauseating. I'm totally not on the same page with you as far as the flashbacks go.
That you weren't annoyed with them, or you found them useful?
It's not about useful or not.
Okay.
It's like, sure, watch the other films. Don't. To me, this is a love letter. I want the last film with 8 movies. I want the last film to be a love letter for the franchise.
Okay.
And I think that this did a good job. I like flashbacks because it's given love. Now, did they go a little bit too hard with one? Did they do a little too hard? Not so much flashbacks, but around the characters?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You've got it down on that. To me, that's not what bogged down the first 45 minutes to an hour.
Really?
Because
Okay.
again, we agree on that. Borderline, I mean, this is where we're talking like one shoe. It's scraping by to get a shoe.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And my thing is, it's almost like all the information that they need to get out in that first hour, I'm cool with taking an hour to do it. They could have done it in so much better Mission Impossible-ish ways.
Sure.
The way it's done doesn't exactly feel like Mission Impossible. It does feel super choppy. It feels like they're trying to do so much, even though they're not doing that much. And the editing gets rough. We're moving way too quick. And just what they just need to convey to us, it's like, well, why don't we do 2 scenes instead of 6?
Yep.
Because it could get done in that way.
Absolutely. And I think your point when we were just out of the theater, do it in a way that's true to the franchise.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like some stuff with like masks and whatnot. It's done very shorthand.
Very
though.
shorthand.
But I feel like if you're not going to trust the audience in one side of this to remember the basic plot of these movies, maybe if that's the case, do some work to establish the feel of a Mission Impossible in the beginning of it.
One of my big complaints walking out of even the first showing was that I don't think Ethan Hunt had enough time with Benji and Luther.
Sure.
And if there's, you have got Haley Atwell in there wasn't enough time for that. Like
Yeah,
you
they
said,
really split them up.
Like you said, towards the second half of the film,
Yeah.
they're separated anyway. We're constantly Tom Cruise, then crew.
He goes rogue from his own team.
So I wanted more of them because, 1, it's the last film, and 2, there's plenty of runway in that first when you're setting the stakes to have the team, and that is Mission Impossible.
Sure.
You have a car chase here or there. Do this. Set these people up. We got to get them into this room. How are we going to do that? Let's set something up.
Sure.
Things were just happening. They were rolling. It was far too quick.
Oh, yeah.
It seriously lacked, and you could have fixed 2 problems by just doing one simple thing.
Yeah, and maybe had a new positive to that first hour.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Really had like a highlight to it. As far as this writing goes, I mean, it just the repeat of stakes. I think it either spotlights how weak the driving plot for the story is, like just like actually kind of weak, the entity being kind of a weak enemy, the idea being weak, just an excuse to bring things to kind of a global scale. It's either that or it just shows, again, like you've said, like I've said, an insulting lack of trust to the core fan base. It was unreal. This imbalance, though, this kind of mix of genuinely great and equally horrible aspects is unfortunately right in line with just big finale blockbusters that we've gotten for years now. This really had me reflecting on not only it being 8 movies, not only it being just like a finale we haven't gotten like this in a while, but just like how much this messy mix represents my feelings on a lot of the old finales of these big franchises. The editing and the pacing moves at a breakneck speed. I probably enjoyed Act 2 so much just because we get to at least hang around in one location for more than 5 seconds. Like, oh my God. In that way, I could not stop thinking of Star Wars Episode 9, though. Having the same exact issue of just moving so quick to smooth out any edge before you can even digest it if you like it or not. Writing about this, writing the review, in reflecting on the movie, I couldn't help but think that this is planned by the Avengers Endgame playbook, especially being the most successful blockbuster finale to date. This movie has an unexpected fascination with taking us back through locations, characters, callbacks to over movies. And I won't lie, I enjoyed some of them because I've watched all these movies, but at multiple times I almost said out loud to you, Tom, like, okay, that's great, but who the hell asked for this?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, who was asking for this, like, tied up? Of course, it would not be a two-parter series finale if I did not bring up what I always bring up as an example, Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. I feel like this absolutely suffers from feeling lopsided. Maybe not outwardly, like, totally imbalanced, but lopsided and needing to jumpstart its own engine because they split the story up. Like I opened with, the solution here is a single 3.5 hour movie that is a tight edit of these last two entries. And truthfully, I think that would solve almost any problem I have. I think it would solve how breezily the writing is done. I feel like it jam-packs the best moments of both of those films together.
Yep.
Better team moments, less narration. There's also a lot of narration in this. I just feel like that's a dream edit here. These last two movies, like,
We could do it. We could take those 6 hours
Yeah.
and actually probably stitch something together.
Yeah. I'm sorry for the long review, folks. I'll go around. I don't know. Well, but any other thoughts on...
Well, you go ahead. We're definitely, I'm definitely hotter on it than you then.
Yeah.
When we walked out, I thought, you were going to be liking this a little bit more. I got to tell you, walking out of it the second time, I don't need to go spend money on a ticket again and sit there.
But you would
When
watch.
this comes to streaming, I'm absolutely going to watch this probably the first week it comes out on streaming again.
Okay.
Because I can drop...
You can also
and maybe-
skip ahead of anything you don't like.
And I won't. Maybe it's a bad thing, and I know that you shouldn't do this as a critic or whatever like that, but it helps that you're the critic, and I just, try to keep the things on the rails here. I have a strange bell curve with Mission.
Yeah.
And I have the same thing with Star Wars almost. I think there's very few movies or franchises you can do this with, but when you have 8 movies, I can let some things slide.
Yeah, true.
Because of what we get. Again,
And that goes back to what you're saying, like, don't have the expectation that it's something that's not.
Right.
You know?
And it helps that we have some of the 2 best action sequences in film history here. I think they also get you at the end because you walk out.
It's razzle-dazzle.
You walk
It's
out smiling, absolutely. And you're just like,
razzle-dazzle.
that was really good. And it's like, wow, because it's so long, I almost forget about
I almost forgot about any
about the
problems
first
I had.
45 minutes. And I think after stewing on it, you certainly started to remember those 45 minutes
Yeah,
again.
yeah. Yeah, I just think, I don't know, these things stick out to me just because I go into these things with doing the franchise homework, you know? And I just, it didn't feel like it's hard because it did feel like it was for the fans, absolutely, but just conflict.
I think you described it well. Yeah, you don't have to
Yeah.
it makes sense where you're coming from. And by the way, I don't think you're the only one saying that either.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I truly have stayed away from any reviews on this, and I'm curious. I'm curious to see where people land on just such a big movie. It really is like a lot. I mean, I could have easily wrote like 4 more blurbs of just different things to talk about. You know, especially going into the weeds of like individual characters. We really like brushed over like
there's so many.
everyone. Besides,
honestly, it's part of the movie.
Yeah.
Just get ready for a lot of characters in your face.
Yeah,
I don't even want to go down the huge list.
Yeah.
Because listen, it's a Tom Cruise show. How is Tom Cruise?
my point exactly. Yeah,
You will have a treasure trove of faces you have seen before and things. There's a ton of them in there, and then you have to play the game for yourself of who you liked, who you didn't like, who was a standout.
Yeah.
I think we both agree that our sub-captain we like the best, correct?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't look up the actor's name, but he's in
Severance.
He's in Severance. Yeah,
He's also like
really great.
He's everybody's favorite part of Severance, by the way.
Oh, really?
Tremel Tillman.
Yeah. Katie O'Brien was also in that scene. That sub. I mean, man, it's a great. I'm telling you that as the climax of Dead Reckoning, that maybe puts it above Fallout. Like that. There's something.
There's something there. Absolutely.
Yeah. Here's the bottom line, though, folks, for me. I really hated the first hour, and again, just that borderline insulting writing. I really loved the second hour, kind of finally just settling into confident filmmaking, confident stunts. You know, it feels confident because you know how tight those scenes are. There's not a lot of, even in the edit, not a lot of chopping around because those scenes are orchestrated how Tom Cruise and the stunt team and our director wanted them. And without going into spoilers, somewhere in between on the last hour, I think I really just was kind of exhausted by that point. Too worn down to expand on maybe some logic issues that I had at the very end, but just kind of ready to forget a lot of the bulk of this film. But remember the action scenes, as really is the case with the whole franchise, it feels like. With that said, we're going to go ahead and give Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning a 63.
Okay, 63%. And
Do it.
Wow.
You gotta
No.
do it.
No. I'm shocked at your 63.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where does this fall in your lineup?
So this is probably, off the top of my head, probably below Dead Reckoning Part 1, most importantly.
It is below.
Yeah.
What did you get part 1?
I think Part 1 was a 69.
69 or 66.
Maybe. One of them is a 66. I think Ghost Protocol.
It's 69, 66. I think 73 is 3, and then 79 is Fallout. Wow, you did not love this film.
No.
That first hour sank it that much.
Yeah.
Damn.
And I, like I said, without going into spoilers, I really...
For sure.
The ending wasn't enough to really pull me back. There was just something there that I was kind of already, not checked out, but I was already a little done
I didn't
with
know
the
what
film.
Vin was going to walk in tonight. I didn't know whether we were going to be laughs and smiles throughout this. You're like a hurt little puppy over there.
What are you talking about?
I mean, I thought there was a chance you were going to walk in here and be like, "Yeah, I want to see it again. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go."
I'm good on this one for sure. I'm good on this one.
Okay,
but
so,
in that, I will say
yeah.
above 60 because I think it's worth maybe one watch. So.
Absolutely. I mean, at least for those 2 sequences. I mean, come on, those 2 sequences are just great to see.
Subsequence and basically the poster.
Yeah, the poster, correct? Biplane sequence.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like this better than Dead Reckoning.
Okay.
And that was a pretty easy call for me.
Okay,
I was very annoyed with Dead Reckoning.
Sure.
Now, again, I liked it more on the second watch. I liked it more on this third watch, actually. I'll reiterate, basically, it again, 2 incredible sequences that I was excited to see again. I will be excited to see a third time. Then you get typical mission stuff that I can tolerate or borderline like, and then it was a heaping spoonful of dialogue delivered in a way that just really kind of disrespects its audiences.
Yeah.
Again, at times this was 2 shoes, 2 laces. At times it was scraping by to try to get a shoe. And with that, is it as good as Fallout? No, but I give it a pretty positive, a happy with a smile, polished up, 2 shoes, no laces.
Happy with a smile is yet another qualifier to it.
It is.
I like that.
But 2 shoes and lace. I think did I rate Fallout? Yeah, I gave Fallout a 2 shoes and a lace.
Yes.
This gets 2 shoes, no.
So on Mission Impossible 3's rating for you, I believe,
is 2 shoes.
Yes. Oh, no. Okay. So better than Mission Impossible 3.
No, well, as far as the 2 shoes go, it's the same.
Yeah, true.
Right?
True.
Which one I like more, I don't know, because Mission Impossible 3 is way more tame. Mission Impossible 3 is probably a little bit better. Mission Impossible 3 is better. These 2 sequences are doing a lot of work.
Yes.
They're doing a lot of work.
Yeah,
I was
a lot of heavy
very
lifting.
impressed with them. Because I was the one going into it being like, let's just get over this sub scene. I'm over it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Not knowing, because I'm not an underwater scene guy.
Wait, this is a podcast development. What do
No,
you
I
mean
said it
you're-
the other week. I just I don't know, the underwater stuff. I'm not buying it.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I was sold.
Oh, yeah, true.
He had me wrapped around the finger.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, listen, pants or no pants, I was. There were some moments I was loving Tom Cruise in this film. That being said, that's where I'm at. So I think I'm definitely hotter on it than you.
Yeah. Which is good. I mean, that's exactly the case where I think it's great that you give a second opinion, a counter perspective to it, because I feel like this movie is also so big and so messy that it really could, it's hard to determine where it's going to land for people.
Okay, so let's say this. If you know you're going to watch this movie, do you say wait for streaming or go see it in a nice theater near you?
I might even say go see it in a nice theater.
Yeah, like if you've decided it's going to be watched.
Yeah, exactly. Though maybe there is something to, maybe not a marathon, but Fallout, Dead Reckoning, Final Reckoning. That might be.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's not a bad
I
thing.
feel like that also they have stakes way up than the previous Mission Impossible.
Sure. I say go see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Go see it in the movie theater. I think you'll be rewarded. I think it's worth a ticket. Not only that, I think we go into it knowing that we had some issues with the beginning. Had someone kind of told me, just heads up, first 45 minutes, you're jumping around a lot.
Sure.
It almost would have planted me, because then I'm almost expecting it.
Yeah, true.
The reason why I was able to enjoy it the second time.
True.
Anyway, 2 shoes, no laces. That's my mission bell curve. You gave it a 63%, Vin. Any other notes here?
No, like I said, I really could have
We could have
gone on and on
podcast
and
for it.
on about that movie. Like you said, there's no point in kind of repeating certain aspects. All of them intertie to that.
Yeah.
Main issues there. So
This was on my mind a lot this weekend. Though.
It was.
Like, I was thinking about it. I almost
Yeah.
got, like when we had to talk about it, I almost was flat-footed.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to say.
I sat down multiple times with this one, and I was just like, wow, where, how do I feel about this? And you know what I mean with like just it feeling like the latest, but also one of like the big pillars of like blockbuster finales. Like it's trying to do things that not many films get the chance
They
to
don't
do.
exactly right.
Yeah, so for that reason, it's complicated. You know,
Absolutely. Well, okay, Vin. Anything else for this episode coming up next week? Coming in the future? Roll credits. What do you want to do?
Karate Kid Legends is next week. Probably going to be watching just the original, even though there is a lot. I mean, we probably just could have done a whole Karate Kid episode. Not something I want to do, though.
Same.
We have Bring Her Back, finally in theaters. Really excited to watch that. That, of course, again, is the Philpo brothers who did Talk to Me.
Yeah.
Looking like a really scary movie. Genuinely scary movie.
Good.
If I can get around to it, The Phoenician Scheme, which is Wes Anderson.
I want to see
guess
that.
a complicated movie. Really mixed stories about it.
When the embargo got lifted, where you could post how you felt about it, it was getting high praise, and people were like low key were saying this is his best since Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yep.
Then it went to Cannes, and it's the most mixed reviews.
Yeah.
People love it, people hate it. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, looking like a good week. Obviously done with Hitchcock, so it's all new releases through summertime.
The summer is here with this big Memorial Day weekend, folks. Vin, thank you so much for watching these films, for stopping by here this evening. Folks at home will run it down one more time. We have The 39 Steps with a 73%. We have Friendship with a 58%. And Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. That's got 2 Shoes, No Laces, and a 63%. Folks, it's always a blast. Thanks for hanging out with us week after week. And as always, we'll see you right back here next week on the Daily Ratings Podcast. And hey, if you enjoyed the podcast, if you would, give us a good rating or get the word out and tell a friend about us. Just a reminder that the Daily Ratings is completely producer supported. We want to stay away from advertising, and we don't want to have any paywalls or tier structures or subscriptions. It's all just value for value. So, are you finding value in what we're doing at the Daily Ratings? Then become a producer and donate whatever amount of value that is. Just go to the donations tab on thedailyratings.com. And while you're there, be sure to check out the massive amount of films that Vince has rated. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Daily Ratings Podcast.